This is the Secretary of Agriculture, because this mindset, this economic illiteracy permeates this administration. Hat tip, real clear politics. Cut 13, go.
I should point out that when you talk about the SNAP program or the food stamp program, you have to recognize that it's also an economic stimulus. Every dollar of SNAP benefits generates $1.84 in the economy in terms of economic activity. If people are able to buy a little bit more in the grocery store, then someone's got to stock it, shelve it, package it, process it, ship it. All of those are jobs. It's the most direct stimulus you can get into the economy during tough times.
You realize how stupid this is? So the bigger the welfare state, the more prosperous the people. Isn't that about it? Because they said the same thing about unemployment. So the more unemployment benefits that go out there, the more prosperous our society will be. The more food stamps that go out there, the more prosperous our society will be, because there's a direct correlation between welfare benefits and subsidies, because that's what they are, and economic prosperity. Now, is there any serious, classical economics writer or philosopher who's ever said such stupid things? They'll talk about trying to affect supply and demand, deficits and spending and so. I've never heard such stupidity. And they repeat it as, oh, really? Oh, you're right. Pelosi has said it. Obama has said it. All the idiots say it. Now, let me explain this. Let me explain it so even you drones can get it if you seriously consider what I'm saying. Here's the problem. The funds that are given are not funds that are earned in the economy. They are funds that are taken from somebody else who earned them. And now those producers, those earners, are not able to spend the money that they earned and produced in the economy. So it's true that for each $1, $1.84 is generated in the economy. Well, if it's true. But you have to deduct $1 from that $1.84, because $1 has been taken from the producer, the person who earned it, but was not able to spend it. So welfare, redistribution of wealth, doesn't create the first dollar and every dollar thereafter. It steals the first dollar from the person who created it. And if you steal enough of them, the person will stop creating them, or the business will stop functioning. And that's the problem with this idiotic mentality where you're hearing, well, if we had food stamps, if we had grocery stores and this, that, and the other thing, they cut out the whole first part of it. It's just crazy. I mean, I'll give you an example. Let's bring it down to earth. Can it possibly be that those who are looting stores in London are creating economic wealth and economic activity? I mean, those buildings have to be rebuilt, right? You got to now hire people to clean up, to apply drywall to those areas that have been destroyed, right? You need to hire electricians and plumbers and folks to put in new windows. The stuff that's been looted, you have to replace. So basically, if I'm listening to Vilsack properly, and those who make these ridiculous arguments, the looters, the rioters in London and Birmingham and Manchester created economic activity because everything they destroyed has to be replaced. Well, if the government steals the property from person A, runs it through their mob-like money laundering scheme, we call that the federal government, and then gives it to somebody else, it's destroying in the first instance, not creating. It's looting, if you will, in the first instance. That does not create jobs. It does not create wealth. It does not create profits. Do you see my point? And as I discussed the other day, the immorality of this is never brought up. Never. In a nutshell, you have a certain amount of time on this earth. We all know we're going to die. There's no escaping it. And during a a significant period of the time that you're on Earth, you work. You create. You use your labor, your hands, your mind to create wealth, to create an income for you and your family. Maybe you create enormous wealth. Maybe you create just enough to get by, whatever it is. And so taxation is more than taxation of what you earned. It's taxation of your time on Earth. So if the government takes 30% of what you earned, then the government is taking 30% of your life at the workplace. Because you are literally working for the government 30% of the time. It's more than money. It's basic liberty. Which is why the founding fathers and the great philosophers from Locke forward explained that individual liberty and private property rights are inextricably linked. If somebody steals your property, they're stealing your liberty. So, back to the genius that is the agriculture secretary. No, taking money from a productive person who actually earned it through hard work or smarts or whatever, laundering it through the federal government and then giving it to somebody else does not create wealth. It redistributes it and destroys it. Any more than a bunch of people breaking into a grocery store, breaking into a Walmart, stealing stuff off the shelves, and running off creates wealth. Well, we got to resupply the shelves. Got to rebuild the buildings. Look at all that economic activity. One other thing I failed to mention. Instability. If the government, willy-nilly, is able to decide, well, you know what, we're going to raise your taxes here, we're going to regulate this over here. In other words, it's going to create unstable conditions for you to work, whether it's in the workplace or as an entrepreneur creating a business through various ideas and so forth. It's a disincentive. It's destructive. So nothing about government interference, nothing is productive or creative or it can possibly create wealth as a general issue. Any more than stealing from one guy and giving it to another. The other person obviously becomes wealthier, but we're talking about creating wealth, not taking wealth. Unemployment checks do not create wealth. It takes wealth. Whatever you think of it, I'm just making the point. Food stamps do not create wealth. They take wealth.